All right, let's go to Idaho, and we'll talk with Gus. Hi, Gus.
Hello, Pastor. Can you hear me?
I can. Go for it.
I really enjoy your program. I listen every day on the radio. My question for you is the thousand-year reign of Christ. Does that take place after the Great Tribulation here on earth, or is it in heaven?
Okay, yeah, that's good. Well, let's talk about this because it's certainly going to kind of turn things on its ear here. Your perspective may be challenged because I don't think that the 1,000-year reign is to be taken literally as exactly 1,000 years any more than the tribulation, with it being 3.5 and 3.5 plus, equals 7. I think there's a symbolism in the book of Revelation. I know you'd agree that there's a lot of symbolism there. Well, I don't think it stops. I don't think the symbolism stops at the tribulation or even the millennium. So the book of Revelation is filled with all kinds of symbolic language. You look at the number 7, you look at the number 1,000. The number 7 often represents completeness or perfection, and 1,000, that number can signify a complete and full period. Rather than a literal time frame. You look in Revelation 1, and there's certainly a rationale for that. So Revelation 20 is where we're camped, really. I mean, this passage mentions the 1,000-year reign, but given all the symbolism there, a lot of people interpret this as representing the reign of Christ and recognize, Ephesians chapter 1 talks about Christ reigning even now, and that he's raised us up and seated us with him. Remember that Christ is reigning until his enemies are made his footstool. You got an opportunity to see that the book of Revelation was really relevant and encouraging and inspiring to Christians 2,000 years ago. Can you imagine if Revelation 20 is just for us? That it's locked in a vault for 2,000 years and is totally useless until 1982 when somebody suspects that Gorbachev is the Antichrist? I'm speaking tongue-in-cheek, but that's sort of what has happened in America with modern-day prophecy or predictions. We've drawn a timeline that basically makes everything relevant to us and hardly anything relevant to the early church. And I'm not buying it. I think Revelation is timeless. I think the early church experienced tribulation, and it got worse. Eventually, they were strung up on the walls of Rome. Their hair was lit on fire. They were used as human torches. Then you look at China and the Middle East. Certainly, they've experienced tribulation. Believers in those areas. And still today, we experience tribulation. Is it going to get better? No. The message of Revelation is that tribulation is going to get worse. There's a first half and a second half. It's bad, and then it gets worse. Well, what happens with the reign of Christ? Well, it's happening now that we have a kingdom. Our kingdom is Jesus, and we are in his kingdom, and we are a royal priesthood, and we are reigning with Christ even now. Is it going to get better? Yes, it is. Our reign with Christ is going to get better through the return of Jesus, what people have commonly called the rapture, the return of Christ. We meet him in the air. We have a new heaven, a new earth. We have a resurrection body that we receive. So if you hear what I'm saying, Jesus said, "Take heart, I have overcome the world." And what I'm saying is Jesus has overcome the world. We don't have to wait for him to reign. He is reigning now, and yet it's going to get better at the culmination of everything. So maybe consider taking that timeline where everybody's got it all mapped out and predicted, and let's just snap that over our knee and recognize the book of Revelation is about sin versus righteousness, Satan versus God. And ultimately, Jesus wins, and He's coming back for you and me.